Alright, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Janie, and I don't know, just grab a pen or marker or paint or something and sit down and draw with me today. I'm sitting here at my makeshift desk. It is July 24th, 3:58 p.m., and I think it's a Friday. I believe it's Friday. Yeah, the 24th. Yep, and I'm sitting here with a container of blueberries next to me, so don't mind me munching on those. Little snacksy poo right before dinner. But yeah, I'm not on a diet. I don't do diets, if you will, but I am on like trying to lose weight. I'm not trying to lose weight as much as I'm trying to gain muscle. I am gaining muscle and getting stronger. And so I've been focusing on losing body fat and lifting weights and stuff like that. And so I've been counting my calories, which is the most effective way to lose weight. Calories in, calories out, whole thing. It is the only thing that will ever work for me. I don't understand how people cut out like complete food groups out of what they eat. That's crazy to me and so difficult. Like as great as it would be to sound, or as great as it would be to say, "Oh, I cut out sugar for a month or whatever." Dude, do you know how hard that is? Especially today, like, dude, everything has sugar in it. Literally everything has sugar. Stuff that you wouldn't think has sugar in it has sugar in it. And so, I mean, people that do that, man, applause to them, because I couldn't even begin to try to even think of trying to do that. That's crazy. But no, yeah, counting my calories. So I'm in a calorie deficit. I try to eat once a day. Like before I was counting my calories and stuff, I would only eat about once a day, maybe a little snack somewhere between there. Um but yeah, now I'm not really doing that because I'm trying to hit certain a protein goal, and other goals like that in the nutrition part of it, trying to be healthy. Um like for my health rather than just trying to lose weight because people do like those, and I've done it before in the past, like they eat all this. They're not super processed foods, but they're like pretty processed to make them be low calorie or whatever. I'm sure that that stuff's not amazing for us, you know what I mean? Because there's a reason that an almond has 40 calories in it, or however many calories an almond has. Like, there's a reason for that. Or an egg, we take the egg whites out and we just eat the egg. Like, there's a reason, the makeup of it all. And so I'm sure they'll come out and say that we shouldn't have been taking all this stuff out of the food, but whatever. I do some of that stuff, like the low calorie stuff. With the like sugar, with pop and stuff. I love pop. For the carbonation. That's why I drink it. I don't necessarily, if I'm gonna have a sugary drink, I'm not gonna go get a tea or something, or a lemonade. Like, no. If I'm gonna drink something with that much sugar in it, I want some fizz. You know what I mean? And so I noticed though, with those diet drinks that have like zero sugar and zero calories and everything, um, there was this one time when I was stranded in the desert, and I'm at a heart, I think it was a Hardee's, and I was there all day. And so I was like, I just got a pop, and I was like, well, I don't need to be drinking sugar. I'll just get diet. And like I was there for like 8 hours or more, and I was just drinking diet soda all day. And I noticed this was like a few days, weeks in a row that I was here at this place, just stranded in the desert. And I noticed that every time I drank them, I was like, man, I could really go for some chocolate cake, or like for some sugar, And they sold like, I forget, I think it was a Hardee's. They sold like a chocolate, like pre-packaged chocolate cake. It's like a piece of cake or pie, something. I don't know. It was good, but I'd be like, you know what? That sounds good. I'm gonna get that. And drinking those, I noticed every time that I would just sit and drink diet soda, when I was there, I was like, oh, I need a cake after. Like, I need cake and pop. I need a diet soda to wash it down. And so, but it made me remember years ago, my grandma telling me that, like, those aren't good for you. It was a whole thing. It was through my family. I don't know if it was through the whole, like, a larger part of the world, but people were realizing that the diet sodas weren't good for you because they have some chemical in them that makes you crave sugar, which isn't that funny? A diet drink that makes you crave sugar, And so while I was there at the Hardee's, I remembered, I noticed it after a few days. I was like, man, why do I always want something sweet after drinking this? Like, this is ridiculous. And then I remembered what my grandma had said to me. And I was like, that's crazy. Because, it's funny. Somebody can say something to you and you're just kind of like, yeah, you don't really put it in your brain. You just kind of let it sit there. And I feel like that was one of those things that I was like, because for me, if I don't understand the why to something, I'm just like, okay, I'll be polite or whatever, but I'm like, okay, and I'm not going to change whatever it is I'm doing if I don't understand why I should or shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean? And so, but with this diet soda thing and it making me crave sugar, it just made me realize, and I was like, oh my gosh, wow, she was right. Not that I didn't believe her, I just couldn't understand the science behind it, so I was like, kind of thing. And so, yeah, the diet soda making you crave sugar. So with those diet drinks, I don't do stuff like that. Like I try not to drink all the diet and the zero carb and zero sugar and low this and low that. Half of it's not even, half of it's just bull crap anyways. Like it's the phrasing of the words that they put on the box, and they change something around to make it legal for them to be able to say that cornflakes are a certain. It's just crazy. I was in the store the other day and I saw protein cereal, which, come on guys, come on, that's so funny to me. I don't know why. It just was funny to me. They put protein in everything. Stuff that already has had protein in it. Like, I don't know, milk. I'm pretty sure milk has protein. Especially almond milk has protein. Let me look it up. Almond milk label. Because I drink almond milk. Like, quite a bit, actually. But almonds, have to have protein in them. I don't know how much, but yeah, 10 to 20 grams per serving of protein. That's how much is in almond milk. So, they almond milk was fine just existing. And then they come along and they change the cartons, the label to say protein on it, and people are like, oh my gosh, wow, they put protein in almonds. And it's like, no, it was already there. Stuff like that. So that just cracks me up to see protein cereal. I don't know if, I'm not saying there was already protein in cereal, but it's just funny how the human brain works, and like what we perceive and what makes us buy things or not. But with the back to the diet stuff, I drink. It's kind of weird. I don't think I've ever met anybody else who drinks zero sugar Mountain Dew Baja Blast from Taco Bell. I buy a case of it at Walmart because they make it. Because it used to just be. They used to at Taco Bell you could only have the Baja Blast, and then they made the zero, and then finally they brought out the zero in the cans. But I buy it by the case at Walmart, and I have it with dinner every night. It's a nice little treat, and it's the only my point. Oh yeah, my point I was getting at was it's the only like diet drink or diet kind of thing that doesn't make me feel like I'm craving a bunch of sugar after. Now maybe that just could be because it's just I usually have one can, but sometimes I'll have two. Um, I have a little Taco Bell cup that like I save and like I wash it out and stuff and I reuse it. So I don't know, it gives you the illusion that I'm eating from Taco Bell. I don't know. But usually I just have one can. So that's what, like 12 ounces, or sometimes two cans to 24 ounces. And, with my dinner. And I notice it doesn't make me feel that kind of way that other diet sodas make me feel. I don't know if that's the amount I'm drinking, and maybe I'm just not drinking enough to notice it, I guess. But I will say sometimes if I'll just want a quick drink of something and I'll open one and I'll end up drinking the whole thing like extra. If I have 3, then I begin to notice that I'm like raving the pantry, or going through the pantry looking for something else to eat, or, wanting something sweet. So I guess it would just be the amount, but that's crazy how that works, and like that I actually got to see it firsthand, that I was like, "Oh, I really need some sugar." You guys know on a 1,000 Pound Sisters, where she's like, you drink a sody or whatever. She's like talking about how, well, when we were younger, they said you eat a sugar, then you drink a diet to cancel it out. And the doctor's like, but you don't really believe that, right? but but no, yeah, with all the other, what other kind of food stuff, they have like sugar-free syrup and stuff like that. I don't really get into that stuff. I used to, but like I said, it's so much easier losing weight. Like, yes, it looks on paper, like in your I use this calorie app. It's called Lose It. Not sponsored. It's called Lose It to that's where I track my calories at. It's just, everybody was like, "Oh, my Fitness Pal and some other buddy something one," and I just didn't like those. Lose It was the easiest one for me. And so I use that to track all my calories and everything on. And what was my point? Tracking my calories, sugar stuff. Oh, so when I used to do it, I used to weigh 220 pounds. I've lost like 30 or 40 pounds since then, and then like slowly like kind of go back and forth a little bit, but never got back up to 220. So I've kept 40 pounds off for quite a minute, like since high school, I'd say. But yeah, so on paper, like, it used to look like, oh, well, I don't remember how many calories I had then, probably about 16 or maybe 1,700. I wasn't counting them. Like, I weigh my food now, and I wasn't doing that then. I was like measuring it then, because I just know more now. But it looks good on paper to say, oh, well, she's in her calories. But when you're in your calories with all these kind of low calorie or zero sugar foods, you're not as happy and as satisfied and feel as good as you do when you're eating normal food, or just only a few things that are 0 calorie, a 0 calorie soda with dinner, or what are the things that, like, just anything is good in moderation, it's fine. But if you're eating every single thing zero sugar, 0 calorie, like that, it looks good on paper, but you're not really feeling as good as you can. And when that happens, well, you don't really probably have you probably have a lower success rate than people who eat normal foods and not all those 0 calorie and zero sugar and low everything kind of foods. I mean, I don't know, but at least that's what my experience was. I noticed it's much easier for me to just like calm down and like eat normal food and like quit thinking. That's what it is. It's all like a mind game. You think that you're eating this and it's going to make you feel better and less hungry, but in reality it's doing the opposite, which is so crazy. It's crazy to me that they can sell something like that. And yeah, it's wild. But yep, yeah, so I weigh my calories right now. I'm eating about 1,600 calories a day and getting 170 grams of protein, which is my goal, so I can build my muscle up, so I can be strong and stuff like that. And I'm doing really well. I don't weigh myself every day. I used to do that. Um, I don't see the point in it. My goal isn't to. I don't really care what the scale says, because I've always been strong, like a stronger person. I don't know why. Genetics, I guess. I don't know. I've just always been stronger. And so the scale never made much sense to me, how me and my sister could look relatively the same and I weigh 20 more pounds than she does. And, my mom's told me that, like, when we were babies, we weighed the same or looked the same, but I was heavier for somehow. She would tell me that. So I don't know what it is, but I just have more muscle, I guess. And so I never really paid too much attention to the scale, because I don't know. It's just also, it can be deceiving when, like, especially being a female, when you're on your period, or when you've just drank a bunch of water, or, it can fluctuate. It's not really it's good if you're like doing it like maybe every 2 weeks or once a week, but definitely not every single day. And that's how I used to be. I used to be doing it every single day, but yeah, no, not anymore. I'm just focused on like trying to feel better and like doing it the healthy way, trying to feel better. And I stretch, so I work out. What workout? I just go on a walk in the morning when I wake up. I go on a walk ski poo, and then I do a 30-minute stretch routine after that, which, let me tell you, I was stretching. It's so funny how I work. Like, I'll start something not wanting to do it at all. And then I'll be like, oh no, I can do it. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stretch for an hour. Which is so, I don't know why I'm like that. But so I was like, well, I'll just stretch like the first day. It's like, I know I need to stretch because I have like, I don't know what it is. They need a name for it. But my whole like spine, my hips, everything that is like a bone is like out of alignment. Um, I feel like in every way that it could be. And it's painful sometimes and it makes me sleep weird and it, it just causes a lot of stuff. And so like I'll get like, I don't know what the, like, I had this lump, not in that kind of, it was like a lump come on my like shoulder that like hurt so bad. And I always felt like it was a knot. That's what it was, a knot. And, and that was hurting me, giving me pain for like months. And it would go away and it would come back and it would go away and it would come back. And oh my gosh, should I tell you the story of me trying to go get a massage? Oh my gosh, that was so hilarious. Remind me, and I might come back to it. It's a little, I can see it could be embarrassing, but it was kind of almost too funny not to tell. Hang on, I had to write it down so I don't forget to come back to it. Oh, that's funny. So yeah, I had this knot that kept coming up for years, and it just wouldn't go away. And so I was like, okay, now that I'm working out and everything and taking time to like take care of myself, I'm gonna take time to stretch every day because they say that's good for you. So I'm like, okay, so I find this girl on YouTube that I used to watch. I like her videos. And she has like a 15-minute. Or I was like, I'll do a 10. I was like, no, I'll do 15. So I started doing the 15s, and then one day I did that for a few weeks or maybe a month even. And one day she was like, I watch the same video every day of the same stretches or whatever. And at the end of the video, she's like, here, if you want to continue the stretch, here's another 15-minute video. And so I started doing that. And I was like, yeah, that's good. Like a 30-minute stretch, that's not so bad. And then with my evening walk, so I do a walk in the morning and then I do a walk after dinner, and to help like digest and like so on, not maybe makes me not so tired and everything. And so I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, well, maybe I should start stretching after my second walk too. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna start stretching then too. And then so basically, I was stretching for an hour a day, and it was really awesome. Like I definitely noticed like I had to skip a few days and I noticed that I wasn't stretching. And like it's such a mundane task, but once you get stretching, I don't know, it helps you relax and it helps me like I feel like it's doing something for the misalignment of the structure of my body, and it's not completely like I can look in the mirror and I can see my hips. Like it makes one of my legs longer than the other, but they're not literally longer than the other. Like one of my hips is just higher than the other. And I had went to the chiropractor a few years ago, and he took an X-ray, and I saw it, and he like drew a line of how disproportionate it was and how off it was, and it was crazy. He fixed it, but it went back. Which I was wondering about that earlier. What makes it? How can they just crack your these bones in your body, and then so like they have to put so much force and so much pressure on them? How is it that they go back? That doesn't make it sense to me, really. Like, like it goes back out of alignment. So what I'm saying is like, yeah, he did that, and literally walking out of the chiropractor place, I was like, I almost tripped because I'm used to walking with one of my legs being longer than the other, and I was like, whoa, like I had to like take a second and figure out what was going on, and my hips were aligned, but now they're not aligned anymore, obviously. So I don't know. I wonder what makes them like go back, and if it's a way I'm sleeping, if it's cracking my back all the time. I used to crack my back. Like I think they start you on that in school, and it just never ends. Like twisting to the side, twisting to that side, and then cracking your neck. Man, I used to do that too. It was awful. Like I stopped doing it because I was like, I think this may be what's contributing to my my completely unaligned spine and everything like that. It was crazy, but yeah. So the stretching, I feel like it well, we will see. I feel like I feel a little bit better, especially right after I've been stretching. I feel really good walking around. I'm like, but the blood's flowing and everything like that. So I've been stretching for an hour a day, but I I went or I got a back spasm, and I was like, what in the world? How could I possibly have gotten a back spasm? I've been stretching. I'm like, that's what they tell you you're supposed to do. You're supposed to stretch and you'll feel better. And so I realized, like, I used to have these back spasms all the time when I worked in a warehouse picking up like cans and stuff and building pallets. I had this same like back pain. It was way worse. And doing these stretches too much, I quickly realized I forgot that that pain ever existed. And I'm so thankful. It really made me thankful that it went away. I don't know why it went away, but it used to be so awful. I would constantly be so annoying talking about how my back hurt and this and that and that. And it was literally just my back spasming. But so that spasm came back for a few days, and I was crying like because it hurt so bad. I didn't know what had happened. It didn't make sense to me that it would be this stretching at first because I woke up with it. So I was like, no, it couldn't be that. I woke up with it. I just must have slept wrong or something like that. And yeah, like through the day, it just kept getting worse. It kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then that was my day. I had to go shopping and run errands and stuff. And I went to the store. I went to Aldi, and I was like, oh my gosh, sitting in my car really does something because the seat, my driver's seat is super like. My car is really old, and it's just the most uncomfortable seat you've ever sat in your life. And I think that's possibly what makes my hips unaligned. Just door dashing for 12 hours a day and driving across the country, like just spending so much time in the car. It probably wore the seat down, and the seat wasn't comfortable to begin with. But so as soon as I got in the car when I was going to the store, I was like, oh man. I was like, I just gotta hurry. I gotta hurry, or it's not gonna be good. And I'm like walking around Aldi, trying to get my groceries and stuff, and I can't help it. Tears just start coming from my eyes, and people are looking at me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, just want to go home, and it was awful. But yeah, and I had scheduled the next day to go help my brother out, and I scheduled to go shopping with my friend, and like it was just like, okay, well, you can't let that stop you. So I had an hour drive when my back was spasming like that, but thank God, like it wasn't so bad. Like I just had to figure out how to sit the right way, and then like sleeping that night was fine. I mean, yeah, it went away. That's all I can say. I'm thankful that it went away, but oh, I realized I think it was from stretching because I looked it up and it said, yeah, that's like a possibility, which is crazy. I guess you do anything too much and it's probably not good for you, but I think what was happening was like one of the stretches I was doing was like lean over, and it's like not a hip stretch, but I guess it kind of is. And because I'm like, oh, well, I want my hips to straighten out, I was doing it like way too much, like leaning way too much over. And for, and it, there was two different stretches where you did this, and then 2 times a day. So 4 times a day I was doing this stretch and overdoing it, and I think that's what causes spasm. But last night, I kind of did it again. I was like, I wasn't doing that specific stretch, but I was like, no, like I'll get back to it, and then it started spasming again a little bit. So I was like, yeah, okay, maybe that is what it was. So yeah, but I'm happy to say I'm feeling better, and now we know not to stretch so much, or at least ease into it. Let's not be doing an hour a day every single day when I've never really stretched before in my life. I'll start maybe doing 30 minutes a day total. But yeah, so I do my stretches, I do my walk at night after dinner, and sometimes I do weights after dinner. Just a quick little 15-minute. You know what's funny about weights? You know what's funny about the gym? This might be a hot take, but the machines at the gym, to me, only the machines, I feel like are an easy way out. But I guess it depends on what your goals are. If you just want to look really good and like really strong and lean and whatever, muscular, that's fine to use the machines. But I feel like, at least for me, I don't want to look fit and not be fit. That sounds awful. Yeah, that's like being famous and not having any money. Like people are going to expect things from you that you can't provide, And I just think that would be an awful position to be in, you know? Like, I don't want to look strong and not be able to, like, run or, like, carry heavy things or, like, do some crazy fitness thing. Like, that would be awful. And so I decided that when I was, like, coming up with, like, my plan and everything, I was like, I don't want to not be able to, be athletic. And plus, being athletic is super cool, anyways. Like, you see those videos. I really think calisthenics is very cool. I don't know a lot about it, but I think it would be something I would like to get into. Like, people just have so much control over their bodies. To have that much control and strength is just awesome. That's so cool that people can do that. And sports that, like, actually use the person's body rather than just, oh, I'm strong kind of thing. And it's great. It still takes a lot of work to have muscle and be big and be strong like that. Like, you still have to obviously be on diet and everything. And I can appreciate people, but I'm just saying, a little bit of a hot take. I just feel like the machines, um yeah, they're just so easy. Maybe I'm doing them wrong. I don't do the machines anymore because I started. I used to go to the gym years ago, and I would just walk. Oh, you hear the air conditioner kicking on. I used to go to the gym years ago, but I would just walk on the treadmill. I didn't like do the machines or anything. But this time around, I was like, no, I want to try the machines, and I did. And I was like, is it supposed to be this easy, or because when you're doing, like, when you're working with dumbbells or something with free weights, you're using your entire body. It doesn't matter what exercise you're doing. For the most part, you're using some small percent of a different part of your body to lift the weight. And when you're on the machines, it's not like that at all. Like, most of the time you're sitting down, so you're not using any of your body weight or anything like that. And they design the machines to perfectly hit that one specific muscle, which is the point. But it just makes it so easy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know the names of the machines, but sometimes I'll get on them and I'll be like, oh, yeah, 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 whatever, see how heavy I can lift. But I don't know, it's just, it's easy. And I can see how, like, I guess what I'm getting at is there's probably a good balance between using the machines and doing, like, free weights and things like that. I only do the free weights because I don't really know a lot about the machines, and it's kind of intimidating when you're going to the gym to try to build muscle and stuff. And, like, I don't know, there's so many different opinions online. People are like, oh, well, I don't even know all the lingo. People are like, well, you need to do a split and you need to do legs this day and a push and pull day. It's just so much that I'm like, dude, I don't even care. I'm just going to go in here and do whatever I feel like doing, kind of thing. There's just so much information. And on top of that, everybody has an opinion about everything. It's like, oh, well, you should only be lifting free weights when the sky is looking extra blue and blah, 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 blah. And nobody can keep up with anything. And so people are just like, okay, I don't care. And so for me, I'm kind of like, okay, I don't care. And then I think that's where people kind of get roped in or feel like that they should hire, like, a personal trainer. Or at least somebody. Is there a difference between a personal trainer and somebody who just, like, writes out a plan for you? My friend in high school, he hired, I think it's a personal trainer. I think it's the same thing. It just varies on what services that you pay them to do. But he would give him, like, I don't know, he probably gave him some pictures of what he wanted to look like, and then he told him, like, what he eats in a day, the exercises and stuff that he does, and then the personal trainer, like, calculates it all up and he wrote him, like, a workout program, I guess. And so it's like, all on Monday and Tuesday you're gonna be doing this and that and that. And so I feel like that's where people get, which I could understand. Like, if I had the money, I don't know, if I had the money, I might consider trying to get, or trying out a personal trainer. Or at least I don't want somebody to work with me and be like, bah, pushing me or anything like that. But I might consider somebody writing out, like, a plan or something. Because it is pretty expensive. I remember it was like $500 or something, like, which is understandable. They have to, like, make each plan for each person or whatever. And it really helped him. Like, it helped him lose weight. He had already lost, like, a lot of weight. He was just trying to, like, gain muscle and stuff, but it helped him, like, kind of get to where he wanted to be and just understand. I guess that's what it is. You're paying for the for the knowledge or whatever, so you can skip over all the BS that's online and that people are claiming and everything like that, you know. But I don't know, it's just a little intimidating for me. Plus, I'm like, I don't have the time to sit here and try to figure out what I should be doing or shouldn't be doing. And on top of that, even more, everybody's different, you know? Like, things that work for somebody isn't going to work for somebody else. And, like, I don't know. I would rather just try to listen to my body and, like, look at my progress and be like, okay, well, I should be doing more of this or that, you know? Instead of, like, trying to build this whole crazy plan. Maybe that'll change. I don't know. But, yeah, right now I'm just focusing on, exchanging my fat for muscle, and I think it's going pretty good. I'm looking pretty good. I'm having fun working out every day and everything, and I'm enjoying the results that I'm seeing. It's just fun to push yourself. I've also been with my night walks. Sometimes I'll read while I do that. I've been trying to read more. I always thought I was somebody who couldn't read just because, or I guess I can read. Hold the phone, you know. I know how to read. But I always considered myself somebody who just wasn't a reader. Because when I was in school and everything, I was put in all the, if you will, the dumb classes, like the lowest class you could be in. They made me read with a special reading person, and like all this crazy stuff. I had to take these stupid tests that nobody else had to take to make sure that they didn't even tell me what it was about. And I think from then I was just like, man, this is just a bunch of crap. I'm not, you know what I mean? But it's funny because I really enjoy learning. Like, I love to learn. I love to absorb information. It's just the way that it's presented to me has to be the way I need to see it, or I'm not going to understand it. And so I always thought, like, I couldn't really be a reader. It's not something I did. But I decided that that's stupid. I don't have to think like that. I don't have to be put into that kind of box, you know, labeled stupid the rest of my life just because when I was in elementary school, like, I had to take special classes or whatever. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I just didn't care. I do have some things that make it a little, it's not like it makes it hard to read. It's just I don't perceive the words the way they are. Sometimes I mix, especially when I'm writing too, like, I'll mix letters up. I'll be trying to write really fast, I guess, or I don't know what does it, but like, I will say the first letter in my head, write the second letter, and then like write the rest of the word. So it'll be the word, but it won't have the first letter. I don't know why I do that, but and with reading, like, I mix stuff up too sometimes. I don't know why I needed special reading classes. I don't remember, or they didn't tell me, but it was like that all the way through school. I was always in the lower classes and with the special programs and everything. But so yeah, I ordered a few books, and to my amazement, I read one of them in like 2 days. It was a smaller book, I will say. It's like 150 pages, but still, I was like, wow, well, I can read. It boosted my confidence a little bit. I got it from Goodwill. It was 99 cents. What was it called? I don't see it on my shelf. Something about communication, or not Oh, it's called it's called Am I Making Myself Clear? And I don't know who it's by, but it's about communicating better, the thoughts in your head, and how to slow down. And I got it because that's literally me. I don't know what it is that makes us like that, or me specifically like that, but I have always been told that I'm so hard to understand, like, what point I'm trying to make. And while I hate to say it, I agree with people, because sometimes I don't even understand the point I'm trying to make. And I don't know what that is either. I don't know if it's probably linked to something about, that's why I also have a hard time reading. If I'm not understanding what I'm reading, how could I then explain it? But so I've always been told that, even in like my adult life. Like, I've worked in a warehouse in the receiving department, and sometimes I would mess stuff up, you know, we all would or whatever, and they'd have to come over there and I'd have to try to explain, you know, and there's numbers and paperwork and stuff, and then stuff in the system, and I would have to try to explain what I did wrong so they could fix it. And I couldn't even understand myself. And so somebody told me one time, she was like, oh, hang on. Excuse me. One time, she was like, you know, you're really hard to understand. I'm like, I'm sorry. And then, like, you know, what am I supposed to say to that? You know, like, I'll try better. And so I've just always been like that. And so again, I was like, I'm not going to put myself in that box. That's so unnecessary. Like, I want to figure out how to get better at it. And so, hey, it's kind of a 2-for-1, with the reading thing. I want to get better at reading. And with that, I'll get better at understanding because I'm reading a book about how to communicate better. And so, yeah, it's just about that and slowing down, thinking about what we say before we say it, things like that. So, yeah, just learning how to communicate better or whatever. But so, yeah, been reading on the treadmill at the gym. I used to go on my walk around the neighborhood or whatever, but I don't know. I was paying for the gym membership, and I'm like, I might as well, because they have the incline on the treadmill. I feel like I can get more bang for my buck in terms of time versus calories burnt. I can burn way more calories walking on an incline than I can outside. Because when you're outside, somebody needs to do some kind of test. I can tell, I know, but I need to see the scientific proof. Because think about it, when you're outside walking, you're pushing yourself. You're taking your body and pushing it, right, off the ground. But when you're on a treadmill, the ground is pushing you. I don't care this, that, or the other. If you stop walking, you're going to fall because the ground is pushing you. And so there has to be a certain amount of calories lost walking on a treadmill, like, just normal, not at an incline, and then walking on the ground at the same, like, I'm sure you burn more walking on the, like on pavement or something. But at the same time, I will say if you put the speed on the treadmill to like 3, you can try to put the speed when you're walking on pavement, but like you have to be the one to make yourself do it. So I don't know. They should do some kind of study or something to figure out like exactly how many calories are burnt or lost when you're walking on the treadmill versus on the ground. But yeah, so I figured I'd burn more calories walking on an incline, and if I was doing that, then I could read my book, which it's kind of hard to read and walk, but I have a whole system figured out. I have a system to it, and I'm on my second book now. Yeah, I've been getting into the books. I bought like 4 books at once when I was like, I want to start reading, and then all of a sudden now I'm like, I don't have enough time to read all these books, but I've gone through one of them, and I'm reading 2 at a time right now. I do 30 minutes after my like morning routine, I guess, and I read a book by Tony Robbins, and then at night on my walk I read a book by Les Brown. They're good books. I like them, but yeah, that's on the reading. And I wanted to get a book about Helen Keller because, okay, to be honest, I've been taking ASL, American Sign Language. If you don't know, I've only been taking the class for a few days, but I've been doing YouTube before that for like a month or two. Do 30 minutes of that every day, and there's like free videos on YouTube that I found, and then but they also had like a course that they sold, and usually I'm like no, I'm not with the courses. Like, you're not gonna try to sell me something, but I read like their story and everything, and it's just really cool, and their reasoning and their mission and everything. So I bought the course because I just felt like I came to a point where because I'd set my timer for 30 minutes, and it's like, okay, I'm going to be on YouTube learning ASL for 30 minutes, and I'd spend, at a certain point it got to, I'd be spending a lot of time looking for videos I hadn't seen yet, or for things that wasn't too advanced, or the next, like, I had to decide what was right for me to learn next, rather than, somebody knowing how to teach ASL or teach a language period, and they know what I should learn next. So that's kind of why I decided to get it. It's $33 a month, which isn't bad. I think it's a small price to pay, because it's so much fun. I've always wanted to learn it, and I don't know why. I don't remember the first time I saw it. Maybe my mom showed me this show called Switched at Birth. If you've seen it, it's so. I watch it when I'm older, and it's just funny. The drama is so funny. But yeah, it's about, if you don't know, it's about these 2 kids that were switched at birth, and they find out in their teenage years, and they want to like reconnect and like get the families together and everything. And but one of them is deaf, and so there's sign language through the entire show. And so I think since then I'm like, man, that's so cool. I want to learn how to do that, and I want to learn how to be able to speak to people and like things like that. And so it's just always kind of been on the back burner in my mind. And I don't know what made me. I think I was making my list of like goals and things I wanted in life and like things like that. It's like, well, I want to know sign language eventually. And it's like, okay, well, girl, why don't we start now, you know? And so I started doing it for 30 minutes every day. But yeah, it's super cool. I just love learning about it. And the way I don't understand. Apparently, there's a big thing about like they don't want hearing people teaching sign language, which I'm trying to understand why, and I kind of don't, but I haven't really heard a lot of people explain it. So the girl that teaches my class, I think she's hard of hearing. She's not deaf, but I think she's hard of hearing. I could be wrong. She could be completely hearing, but she started the whole thing. Like she started her, I think it was like a YouTube channel, and then she had went to school to learn how to interpret maybe, or am I saying that right? Interpret. Yeah, interpret. She learned how to interpret, and then, but there's like something that the deaf community doesn't want people who are hearing to teach ASL, which I try to grasp. I really do try to understand. I don't think we should ever just push somebody else's feelings aside in a group and be like, nah, just because we don't understand. So I'm trying to understand. I don't know if it's that, like, maybe it's taking away from deaf people who are teaching it. I don't know if that's what it is. I don't understand, but this girl, she's it's called Learn How to Sign. That's the name of the website, I guess, and the YouTube channel if you want to check it out. They're really cool. But yeah, where was my point? Learning ASL. Oh, but she's hearing, yeah. And so before I bought the course, I wanted to make sure like it was actually, I was getting my money. I was just gonna pay monthly, so I could have canceled. But I'm getting on Reddit, and people were kind of like hating on her, and the whole thing. And I just don't understand it. I guess I don't know. They were just hating on her because she was hearing. I think maybe I don't have the whole story, but I'm just trying to understand it a little better. But anyways, learning about it, they don't just teach sign language. They teach the how it came to be, and it's culture, I guess, and like about it and everything like that. It yeah, it's like teaching English but not teaching about our history and culture, like, so they're teaching about history and culture too. And so she was suggesting movies that have sign language in them and are about people who are deaf. And so she was suggesting these movies, and I was like, oh, hey, there was one about Helen Keller. And I was like, and I'm not gonna lie, guys, I don't know if I was just a kid. I don't know what it was, but I remember in school, okay, probably elementary school sometime, 4th, 5th grade, 3rd grade, I don't know. I don't remember learning about Helen Keller ever. I just know that at some point we learned it because I know about her, right? I don't remember, usually when they teach us about people, like, they'll have you read a book, or we'll hear about their story, or we'll watch a movie, or whatever, but they did not do that with her. They just kind of, this must have been how it went down. I guess I suppose I don't actually remember clearly if how we learned about her, but we did. But to me, looking back, they must have just told us, there's this girl. Her name was Helen Keller, and she was deaf, mute. Well, she wasn't mute. She learned how to speak later, but, oh, spoiler alert. And she was deaf and blind, and she did all these things, and I just remember being like, okay. Like, as a kid, yeah, okay, that's cool, whatever. But as I got older, I didn't believe that she was a real person. And that's understandable, because that's crazy to think, like, how could somebody be deaf and blind? You know what I mean? And learn all these things. But, so, my point is, the movie was about her, and one of the movies, it's called The Miracle Worker, in 1962, I think. So it's in black and white, and it's kind of funny watching older movies how the sound doesn't always line up, and you can tell like the camera tricks and everything. At least I can. I love movies, big movie buff. But It was such an amazing movie, and it made me be like, oh my gosh, it sounds so silly, it's a little embarrassing, but I'm like, Helen Keller was a real person. And I suppose that she could still not be a real person, but I mean, she wrote like 12 books, so I believe now that she's real. And it's back to that thing, I have the evidence now. See, if you just tell me if you just tell a child that something is, that a unicorn is, well, they're going to grow up and be like, well, I've never seen a unicorn. So what's making me believe that that's such a thing? And so, yeah, that's kind of how it was. But now I'm like, wow, if that is true, what a cool story. Like, if you don't know anything about her, uh, it's just such a good movie. The movie specifically, I think there's two of them. I think they're both called The Miracle Worker. They just like redid the first one, but the first one is like 1962 when they made it, and it was just so cool that. Or where was it going with that? Miracle Worker. Oh no, I hate when that happens. So cool to learn about Helen Keller, how they did it. I don't know. I think I'm just talking about how cool Helen Keller was. She was, yeah, deaf. If you don't know, she was. Pull up a little thing about her, because I didn't read about her, but I watched the movie. Yeah, 19. Oh wait, she went to college. She's from Alabama. Yeah, very very cool story. But oh yeah, here, Learn How to Sign pops up with a whole thing about her. Yeah, that's what's cool. Learn How to Sign does a like, it's called Deaf Profile, and they show like the stories of people in the deaf community that like did lots of cool things. But yeah, she was born in 1980. And she died in 1968. She wrote like so many books. I want to say, oh my gosh, would have been, no way that's for today. 4 weeks ago would have been her 146th birthday. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so it was quite a while ago. Man, I can't remember my point that I was going to come back to. Here, maybe a blueberry will help. Huh. Nearly married. They planned to elope, but she never actually got married. Anyway, she's just super cool, and like the movie was very cool and how they showed it. She also wrote like 12 different books. She's just a really cool person, and like even cooler was like her teacher. Her teacher was Anne Sullivan, I believe. Yeah, Anne Sullivan was her teacher, and like who's to say, they don't always get stories right in movies, but like if this is the real story and this is what actually happened, how cool. Her teacher was also, she had something wrong with her eyes. She was like blind or going blind or had been blind or partially blind, one of those. And it was just so cool that that family hired her, and she was young, I guess, and her teaching methods were a bit unorthodox. I don't know, it's just like, how do you teach somebody who from a baby was deaf and blind? How do you teach them to speak and know where they are and like all these things? And so her family wanted to just like have pity on her. That's kind of what the movie's about. It's like, well, no, she's a human being. She deserves. Sometimes we think, well, that's the best way is like have pity on somebody and like just give them what they want and everything. But it's like, no, I owe it to you to teach you how to be a civilized human being and to teach you, how to speak and like things like that. And that's what she did. It's very cool. Such a amazing, inspiring movie. But she wrote some books, and my point is I wanted to read her books. One of them is about her life, but I'm scrolling here, looking at Anne Sullivan. They first met. Yeah. But anyway, so that's just super cool. Inspiring story there, and I like that they do that on my ASL classes. They like teach you about things that I would have had no idea of before. It's like a whole other world kind of things that you didn't know, and like when you start thinking about people who can't hear, people who are deaf, it just really opens up to like, oh my gosh, well, you'd be so lost like growing up like that. There was another movie called what was it called? The Hammer. It's about a wrestler who was deaf, and went to college and everything, and I still haven't finished that movie. I've got to finish it. I have a bad habit of I'll start a movie while I'm eating dinner because I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to waste time watching movies when, I have other things I need to do. But I'll watch a movie. I'll start a movie while I'm eating dinner, and then it only takes me 20 minutes to eat dinner. And then I'll sit there for 5 minutes, and I'm like, okay, let's go on our walk and get everything else we need to get done. So I have a bunch of movies that I'm only 25 minutes into, but I watched that one while I drew a little bit too. It was a good movie. I couldn't watch it and draw at the same time because they were signing in it and they weren't speaking. They weren't oral. At least not everybody, and so I had to look up and see what they were saying and also try to read the signs, which was cool that they didn't just automatically put subtitles on it. Um, so you had to know sign language to understand what they were saying, and I got a little bit of it, but at a certain point I was like, man, I'm gonna have to watch something else so I can get this drawing done. I think it was this drawing that you're watching now. I think I watched some of it, but okay, what point did I want to land on there? Oh, learning ASL, yeah. It's just been super cool, and I know that it's important to get out there and, like, sign with other people, and I just don't know really where to start with that. There's a 45-minute, a town that's 45 minutes away from me. I read that their library does some kind of thing where they, like, I actually don't really know what it is, but I know that it's a community, people get together and, like, talk and stuff. And I know that would be good to learn because you gotta think, like, if I'm only watching somebody sign, or I'm only signing myself, it's just hard to learn. I'm one person, I have been, excuse me, sorry. I have been, when I drive for long periods of time, working on my finger spelling, I've been practicing, and that's with the signs, like, I saw the sign. The signs, like the road signs, I'll see something, and it's a little bit distracting. I probably should be a little more careful sometimes, but I'll see a sign for something, duck, I don't know, and I'll spell out the words or longer words, or if I know the sign for them, I'll do the sign to just kind of like practice, because I need the practice. But yeah, it's been pretty cool, super exciting. I could probably, if somebody was like willing to help me practice or willing to like sign slower, I could probably get a pretty good decent conversation in, about how the weather is and what they're doing tomorrow, and if they want to go out to eat and stuff like that. Like I could hold a conversation for a minute, and like the finger spelling is getting pretty good too. So I don't know, it's just super exciting, and I know one day, like, I pray that I'll just be able to he'll give me the grace to keep going and keep doing this, and one day I'll be able to be fluent in it and like really be a part of, I don't know, something very cool. Because you imagine how isolating it would feel to be deaf or blind or anything that just makes you drastically different from 90% of the population, and like especially if you live in like a small town or something. I mean, I don't know, but I could imagine that it would be hard, and I can understand how people don't want anybody in their bubble if they're not like them. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like they've like kind of isolated, and they found this group that's like their family, and like these people are the people who understand me. They don't want somebody hearing who's not like them to come in there and like rain on their parade, I guess, and change it in any way. So I could imagine, I can understand how people, if that's how they feel, I can understand how they feel that way. But it would just be cool to be a part of it one day, to be accepted, and like even like interpret like worship and stuff. Like if I ever go to church, like to interpret for people, like that would be really cool. And like interpret, period. I don't know if it's a thing that, oh yeah, it'd be cool to be an interpreter. But yeah, so one day I'll be fluent in ASL, which is so cool. That's so cool. I've always wanted to do it. I'm so proud of myself. It is like, for you start something, and I'm like, yeah, this is going good. It's pretty good. I've been doing my 30 minutes every day, and then like it's exciting, and then I'm like, okay, and then like the second month, I'm like, all right, it's getting a little, but then it gets exciting again. You go back and forth with it, but yeah, you just gotta keep on living, man. Hang on. Ugh. My makeshift desk here. Um, it's just been super cool. I'm very proud of myself because I always, when I was young, when I was a teenager, I'd always be like, there's something I would want to do, and I would either start doing it or talk myself out of it, and then stop doing it eventually. And I was just like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to know ASL. I'm going to teach myself ASL. It's going to be super cool, and I don't care. I have a thing about spending money. Like, for some reason, I really don't like to spend money on stuff. I think it came from being like, well, it's unnecessary to spend money on stupid stuff. And so somewhere that did something to my brain to where I was like, I'm not going to spend money on anything, actually. Only on things that I need. And so, which is a good and bad thing. It's good that I don't just go blow my money on crap, but sometimes it's like, Jane, you can buy the $5 thing, the $5 journal that you want. It's really okay, Sometimes I gotta be like, all right, but I'm coming out of that learning that, like, before I quit my job, there was always this saying that I heard over and over again. I'm not sure exactly who said it, but it was like something like, work harder on yourself than you do at your job. And that doesn't mean like to be lazy at your job or whatever. It's just like help you put into perspective, where are you putting your effort at? Why are you working so hard for a company that you're just a number to them? When you could be using that manpower, work on yourself. And so now that I'm not there anymore, thank God, I'm trying to use this. I am using this time to work on myself, and so I want to spend my money on things to help improve me, understanding that it's an investment for the future. Even if I'm doing 10 things, I'm really good when I have a lot going on. Like, for some reason, when I have like 20 things I need to do, like, I was really good. I used to work at Dairy Queen in Chill, which is the ice cream spot, and they have all those different flavors, all those different things you have to learn, how to make every single ice cream, there was different measurements for different sizes for every single ice cream. It was crazy. But I remember once I got the hang of it, I loved it, because when we get super busy, it's like, that was just like, that was the best part. I was like, yeah, I got this. And I'd be so quick. I was so quick. I could do Chill, and I could do like front drive all by myself, and like everything like that. I was really good at it. But I thrive under pressure, I guess is what I'm saying, like, for some reason. And so I think putting pressure on myself sometimes helps me produce more. So if I'm like, oh, I'm going to learn ASL, and I'm going to be focusing on my health, and I'm going to be reading this much every day, and I'm going to be writing this much every day, and I'm going to be making videos this much every day, for some reason, I don't know if it's healthy. I wouldn't see why it wouldn't be. It's better than the alternative, which would be not doing anything with my life, I guess, but I don't know, when there's a lot going on, it makes me thrive. I like a lot going on. So I'm saying I'm trying to teach myself, and I'm learning how to invest in my future, doing ASL, doing piano, doing guitar, or whatever it is I'm doing. But also not do too much. There is a point where I'm like, all right, Jane, maybe we've taken on a little more than we want to. And, I'll cut back on some things, but there are some things that I'm not willing to cut back on, things that, like, no, I am going to learn this, because if you're not careful, it'll be easy to make excuses for why you don't have to learn ASL today, or why I don't have to write in my journal today, or why this or that or that or that. And there's just some things that I'm stubborn on. It's like, dude, I don't care how much you don't want to do this. We're doing it. We're getting it done. You have to be willing to put the work in today to have what others won't have tomorrow, because they didn't put the work in a day, or something like that. You see what I mean? Yeah, even though, and to keep going, even when you're not really seeing results, it's a big thing, to keep working out, even when you're not seeing anything, different, but to keep going. And then one day it's just like, oh my gosh, I look awesome, like, I'm super proud of myself, or look at where I am, look at where I was, when you look back and you've left your past self far enough behind to see a difference in yourself now, your future self, or your present self, I guess. But yeah, so that's super cool. Been loving learning the ASL. Okay, so reading, we talked about that. What else was I gonna talk about? Oh my gosh. Oh, you want me to tell you? You want me to tell you the story? Okay, I'm gonna have to try to hold myself together. The story of me going to get a massage is a little embarrassing. Like, not embarrassing for me, but just the situation. Like, I wouldn't want you to catch secondhand embarrassment. Please don't feel embarrassed for me. I'm fine. It's fine. We're groovy, okay? But I will tell you the story because it's so funny. I was literally sitting there. I'll try to contain my laughter, and oh my gosh, it's so funny. I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, my sister's gonna get a crack out of this. Like, wait till I tell her, she's gonna crack up. Cause like, okay, let me preface by saying, my sister loves, like, for her birthday or for Christmas, when she gets any kind of gift or anything, she's like, most of the time she wants a massage. Like, she loves going to get massages. She talks about them for weeks after she gets one. She's like, oh, you sit in the chair and they scratch your head, and the smell. She's like, the way that it smells in there is so amazing. It's like vanilla. And she even went out and bought, like, I don't know if she bought the lotion for this reason, but she bought some kind of lotion that smelled like the inside of the place, I guess, to bring her back to that moment or something. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Anyways, so for like probably not years, but months, and maybe years, I'm hearing her talk about going to these massages and how amazing they are and da 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 da, right? And so I'm having this pain in my left, like the top of my shoulder. I have this knot that's been there for years. I went to the chiropractor, it went back, yada yada yada. It hurts. Sometimes it would go up into my neck. And so I just one day out of the blue, I start getting this sharp pain, twinge, whatever, shooting up my neck, and I could tell it was from that big knot on my back. And it was to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was again crying because it hurt so bad. And I was like, I can't not. Because you know how I'll get like a slight pain of it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go. I've never had a massage before this, mind you, okay? Never had a massage before. And I'm like, okay, I'll go get a massage. I'll schedule it tomorrow. It's fine, because, you know, I didn't want to waste the money. And, but then I was like, it got so bad gradually going up my neck. I couldn't move my neck. Like, I could not move my neck at all. And I was like, okay, I have to schedule this. And I scheduled it right then for the next day. I was like, 'cause hopefully it'll help. Lainey talks about how amazing it is. I will say, oh, Lainey's the name of my sister, by the way. She talks about how amazing it is. Is like, but I will say it's her. She goes to. This is where they get you, okay? She went to a different place than I went to. She went an hour away, up in the bougie area, to get her massage, and I did not. Okay, I was like, well, you know, massage is a massage, you know, whatever. Let me see the time here. Okay, we got about 10 minutes. I was like, so the massage is a massage, you know. I wasn't really thinking whatever. I was just like, I'm not driving an hour away to get this twinge out of my neck. And so I get online, you know, I schedule it. I make the old sketch, the appointment, and I go in there the next day, and, you know, I make sure I was polite, make sure I showered beforehand, you know, so I'm not all stanky. And so I go in there, and immediately, I was like, okay, all right. I go in there, it's dark in there. There's some tiny little, smallest room you've ever seen, and there's like a little window, and it has like decorations, everything. It's dark in there, and I'm like, I'm early, I don't understand, like, okay. And I ring the doorbell or knock or something. Like, this lady comes out and she's like, hi, like, did you have an appointment? I'm like, yeah, I did. And she's like, which one? And she's asking me like what massage I wanted, and I'm like, I don't really like to be touched, really, like, especially by strangers. I mean, I don't know if that's a thing that people enjoy. Like, I just don't really like to be touched. And but I was like, obviously, if you're getting a massage, they have to touch you. So I was like, I just need my shoulders. Like, there was an option for, it was like neck and shoulders and head or something, basically above, like right where I needed it and above. I was like, I don't care if she touches my head or whatever. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this. This is like 2 months ago or something. But, so I'm like, yeah. And I showed her, I pointed. It was like $50 for 30 minutes. Head, neck, and shoulders or something like that. And I go in there, and I tell this woman, I'm like, I've never had a massage before, so I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what's appropriate or whatever. And she's like, okay, okay. This, I don't know if she was Chinese or whatever, but she was like, okay, she seemed to kind of understand me, but maybe not completely. I don't know, but so I don't even know if she said follow me, or maybe she did. I had to pay her first. And they asked for a tip then too, which is weird. Like, I gave it, don't you want me to tip on how well the service was? So I think I left a small tip. I'm like, anyway, so I think it was like $55. I don't know what the appropriate amount to tip is, especially before I go. That's like at Subway, and then be like, do you want a tip before? And then getting my sandwich. I don't know, it's weird. So I go in there, I'm like, yeah, I've never done this before. And she was like, okay. And she just points at the bed thingy. And it's like, I don't know if she said change or something, and then walks out. And I was like, okay. Well, okay, in my head, I'm like, what do I do? Do I take all my clothes off? That's weird. I'm a little, that's not, yeah, I don't really want to take all my clothes off, so I'm like, okay, it's just a shoulders and neck or whatever massage. I was like, I don't need to take all of my clothes off. And so, I, yeah. Yeah, it was weird, dude. She comes back in and she's like, basically, no, like, no, you need to, like, do it all and, like, cover up and everything. It was so embarrassing, guys. And maybe I shouldn't be telling this on YouTube. Oh, well, I don't care. And, yeah, she gets on top of me. Like, this woman is, like, completely on me. Like, her entire body weight is, like, on me. And I'm, like, I can't breathe. And then at some point she comes in there and she's like, I hear her leave the room, which, if you're not, I want to know what's going on. What is going on? Like, I've never done this before. I don't know what's happening. And you leave the room. And are we done? Do I get up? Like, what's happening? And I hear her, like, with water or something. She comes back in and doesn't say anything, and then starts hitting me in the head. She starts hitting me in the head with what I think were rocks, like some kind of stone. And I've seen that. Okay, I've seen a movie. They have those, like, hot stones or whatever. I've seen The Karate Kid. Okay, they put those hot stones on there, whatever. Okay, but the person knew it. The person, they knew that they were hot. They knew that they were rocks. They knew that what was coming. I did not. Okay, and I didn't really appreciate it because, like, girl, you leave the room and you come back and these stones, they were very hot, were hitting me in the head. I was just like, okay, at this point, I'm done. I was like, is this almost over? For the love, can it please be over? And she hit me in the head. She was putting them on my back. She was, oh, my other point, she did a full body massage. I'm like, I just paid for the neck and shoulders, and I even told her beforehand, I was like, I just want you to get this knot out, right? And she's like, yes, yes, yes. And I'm like, okay, yeah. I think she understood me, but I don't know. And, like, she hit me in the head with these hot rocks, and then she's like, is this okay? After. She'd hit me in the head with these rocks, and then after was like, is this okay? And I'm like, what do you mean, is this okay? You've already hit me 10 times in the head. What do you mean, is this okay? Hit me in the head with rocks. And then I don't know, man. Needless to say, I think I wrote a review. And I'm not, I wasn't trying to be rude, but, like, I don't know, maybe it's just a different kind of way I would run a business, especially something like that where people feel vulnerable. Like, you can't just go in there and be like, yep, and not explain, especially when I say I've never done anything like that before. I don't know, would not recommend. Yeah, the whole time I'm laying there, like, my sister, man, she's gonna, and I'm telling her about this, and she's like, oh my gosh, that is awful. She's like, I'm so sorry. No, that's not what they're supposed to do, or whatever. She's like, you gotta go to my place. And I'm like, I'm never going to a massage again. I don't care how twisted my back is. You know what I mean? She's like, oh, yeah, it's just awful. It was awful. And it hurt. It hurt. The way, now, apparently that's normal. They say, like, if you get a deep tissue, it'll hurt, like, for sports people and stuff. I did not get a deep tissue, okay? I got a neck and shoulders massage. it was not neck and shoulders. Okay, she did something and my body was hurting for days. There were bruises on my back, guys. If that paints a little bit of a my mom was like, "What in the world?" It was awful. It was awful. It hurt pretty bad. After like the second or the third day, it was kind of like okay, like it kind of like the like hurt so good kind of pain in my back, but like no, there were bruises. It was crazy. It was like I'll never do that again. Never do that again. It was wild. And not only that, but I paid her to do it. I paid her to put bruises on my back. It was crazy. But yeah, so funny story, not so funny about getting a massage, but yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. All right, is there any other points I was making? See, I had a few things wrote down to talk about, and then I was like, no, I don't want to. Yeah, I just want to chat with these. I just want to say whatever's on my mind. This drawing was kind of cool. It was almost one of those drawings that I could have colored in with like color, but I didn't. This is a Shelby. This is a Sharpie gel pen that I'm using in this, and I don't know, they're okay. They run out very quickly, which I don't really appreciate because I have to go buy multiple ones, but I cannot draw the way I draw with pens that are like, is it Bic? Bic pens. You have to press, like the ink, it's not that you have to press hard, but the ink just doesn't flow out of them like it does on the gel pens. And if I had to press hard, like if I had to draw like this with a Bic pen, my hand would just be so cramped. I think it took me probably took 2 or 3 hours to do this drawing. Or no, maybe 2. I'd say 2 probably. I watched a few movies during it, but it was pretty cool. Yeah. I have another drawing that I'm working on right now. I decided I want to do these more long form videos because that's what I like to watch on YouTube. I don't watch videos that are like, if you're new here, most of my videos that are drawing are just like, I speed them up super quickly and do a quick commentary over them. But it's like, no, I want to make a long one because that's what I watch on YouTube. I love watching Draw With Me, or I love listening to Draw With Me's while I draw. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what I like to do. And so I want to make more of these. And so I'm looking at it right now. One that I'm working on, it's another black and white, but the paper's black and the pen is white. So it's like opposite or whatever. I don't know what it is about those, but they're so like mesmerizing to me. I feel like I could draw them all day. It's a little bit backward. Well, it's completely backwards actually, because instead of like filling in the empty spaces, you're filling in the spaces that aren't empty. If that makes any sense. Like it's literally backwards, so it makes me draw differently. Like if I was drawing at the same time in the same moment, just on different paper and a different pen, it would look different. I don't know if that made any sense, but there's something so inspiring to me about the black paper with the white pen on it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's probably the same reason why the stars, like in the night sky, are so inspiring to me, and like the moon and stuff. I don't know if I'm the only one who's like that. You know, I look at the moon. I know people. I'm not talking about like astrology kind of thing. I'm talking about like the fact that this moon and the stars are just pretty. Period. Just because they glow and they're so bright. And my whole life I've been like that. Like I love the moon so much. Like just looking at it brings me so much peace and inspiration, really. And I know that's weird. I don't think I've ever heard anybody be like, oh yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from the moon. But man, there's just something about it. Something about it glowing in the darkness there. And that's why I think the pictures, the drawings look really cool with the black paper. It's kind of the same thing, and they're really inspiring. But yeah, I'm working on that one, and then that'll be up next. But yeah, these commentaries, man, talking for like an hour and a half or something, that's a lot to do. But I enjoyed it. It was kind of fun. This is my first one. Let me know if you like it. Let me know, I don't know, ideas to talk about or something. I don't know. I like chatting. And please, for your sake, don't ever go get a massage, okay? Just don't do it. All right? That's the drawing. Okay? Leave me a like, please. Leave me a like. Leave me a comment. Tell me something and subscribe. And, you know, I pray that you have a blessed rest of your day. And again, don't go get a massage. Okay. All right. Okay, bye.